Chicago Fire continues to thrive as one of the most popular and engaging procedurals on network TV, and Chicago Fire Season 13 was one of the strongest seasons in recent memory. It marked a season of change and transition for the crew of Firehouse 51, but this allowed for fresh and engaging storytelling, new character dynamics, and a stunning One Chicago crossover, all of which have helped to change the landscape of the franchise. As One Chicago's parent show, Chicago Fire is the series that drives the franchise forward, and Season 13 has set up a new and exciting era for the IP. Following Chicago Fire Season 12's truncated episode count, Season 13 was a return to long-form storytelling, which I believe has marked a turning point for the future of the One Chicago franchise. Chicago Fire Season 13 saw the return of the epic crossover. The show kickstarted the first franchise crossover in half a decade. The return of the crossover episodes that characterized the first several seasons of the program was one of the most significant changes of Chicago Fire Season 13. In the Trenches, Part I, which debuted as Chicago Fire Season 13, Episode 11, continued throughout Chicago Med Season 10, Episode 11, and ended as part of Chicago PD Season 12, Episode 11, marked the franchise's return to a full-scale, multi-show, three-part crossover event after a 5-year hiatus. Since the 2019 release of Infection, this was the first crossover event. The storyline centered on a devastating gas explosion beneath a city high-rise, which also threatened the subway and required the combined efforts of fire rescue teams, trauma doctors, and police tactical units. Not only was the immense spectacle a great example of what Chicago Fire can do with a combination of action and drama, but it also served as a reminder of the unified storytelling and nail-biting stakes that made the early seasons of One Chicago feel so immersive. Chicago Fire Season 13 shook up its dynamics with new leadership. Chief Pascal replacing Bowden marks the winds of change for Firehouse 51's leadership. One of the most significant narrative shifts in Chicago Fire Season 13 was the change in leadership dynamics, which saw Chief Dom Pascal take over as head of Firehouse 51. He was brought in to replace fan favorite Wallace Bowden, who left the show following his promotion to Deputy District Chief in one of the most prominent One Chicago character exits ever. Pascal came in to bring stability to Firehouse 51, but quickly came into conflict with several prominent characters, including Severide. Pascal has one of the most immersive Chicago Fire character arcs and goes through a period of growth before slowly earning the respect of his colleagues. His season arc is also beset by tragedy after Pascal's wife, Monica, dies in a car accident, and the chief is then implicated in the subsequent murder of her killer. But Severide works to clear his name and exonerate him, and the two men cool their fractious relationship. Furthermore, Pascal brings a new leadership model to Firehouse 51, which is best exemplified during the crossover when his coordination with Chicago PD's recalcitrant Hank Voigt allowed the teams to work together smoothly, despite obvious tension between the two. Pascal's era is set to be very different than Bowden's, but his approach could usher in a new era for Chicago Fire and help future crossovers. Stronger relationships in Chicago Fire Season 13 highlighted the show's storytelling potential. Cross-series interactions and interpersonal relationships add depth and layers to Season 13's narrative. The One Chicago franchise has always thrived on its rich, textured characters, and their interactions add color and light to the narrative, engaging viewers and helping to develop strong arcs. Chief among these throughout the course of the season has been the developing bond between Pascal and Severide, which ended with the Chicago Fire characters having a newfound respect for one another. This will hopefully influence their interactions in future seasons, and being that Severide is a hugely influential member of the team, should lead to a smoother Firehouse 51. The crossover also allowed the show to deepen cross-franchise character dynamics, with Stella and Chicago PD's Ruzek finding themselves in danger and bonding despite the animosity between their two teams. It also explored the complex tension between Voigt and Severide, as well as the complicated past between Voigt and Firehouse 51. Furthermore, the unexpected Violet and Chicago Med's Dr. Frost allowed for hints of a possible future romance. These are all character stories I would expect to come around again sooner rather than later, which could mean more crossovers in the near future. Chicago Fire Season 13 offers a blueprint for the One Chicago universe moving forward. The season's plot and character dynamics could inspire more cohesive and collaborative storytelling. Chicago Fire has always excelled when exploring its characters' motivations, complex personal and professional relationships, and has focused on sprawling episodic storytelling. Season 13 is a return to form for the show, and could well set a strong precedent for Chicago Fire Season 14 and the rest of the franchise moving forward. The season could set the standard and providing a blueprint for the One Chicago shows moving forward, especially with the tantalizing story strands that have been set up for future exploration. Collaborative storytelling is one of the strongest weapons the franchise has, and this could become more commonplace moving forward. The balance of the show's story arcs is what makes it shine, and Season 13 has some excellent examples of this, such as Stella acclimating to her new leadership position and Herman and Mouch's continuing bond. Multi-show storytelling enhances character arcs and dynamics, and everything feels connected like a living, breathing organism. Exciting times lie ahead for One Chicago, and there is little doubt that Chicago Fire will continue to be the beating heart of the franchise. Enjoy Screen Rant's primetime coverage? Click below to sign up for my weekly Network TV newsletter. Make sure to check Network TV in your preferences and get the inside scoop from actors and showrunners on your favorite series. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe my Fast Gossip 24 to our channel and stay with us.